Imagine the world as a giant stage that has stood for 4.5 billion years. During this unimaginably long time, the Earth has almost died, many times crushed, shattered, drowned, or burned. But each time, new civilizations were born, replacing the ones that were lost. This story is a journey through the 10 major disasters that nearly erased life from the planet. It's not just a list of events, but a narrative reconstruction of those moments of destruction, as if you were right in the middle of them. 1. When the sky fell, the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. 66 million years ago, Earth was calm. Tropical forests covered thousands of kilometers. Giant dinosaurs roamed without fear. But far away in the sky, farther than the moon, a mountain-sized rock sped toward Earth at 70,000 kilometers per hour. No one noticed it until the midday sky turned into a bright light. In an instant, the asteroid hit Earth in the area we now call the Yucatan Peninsula. Its explosion was equivalent to 10 billion times the Hiroshima bomb. The sea boiled, forests burned, tsunami waves collapsed continents. The sky was dark for years, and the world, for a time, ended. Without this event, humans might never have existed. 2. Supervolcano Toba, a eruption that changed humanity. About 74,000 years ago, human ancestors lived in small groups. They didn't know they resided near the largest natural bomb ever known. Mount Toba erupted, not an ordinary eruption, but destruction blasting through the atmosphere. Volcanic clouds covered the Earth. The sun dimmed, the planet froze, plants died. Scientists predict that human population dropped from tens of thousands to just 2,000 individuals. We, all modern humans, are descendants of those who survived that darkness. 3. Black Death, the plague that killed 200 million. Europe in 1347 had no word for quarantine, no vaccines, no knowledge of bacteria. Suddenly, ships from the Black Sea brought something invisible, Yersinia pestis bacteria. 5 days after infection, bodies turned blue. Giant swellings appeared, then silence. Natural disaster and major conflict stories in human history teach us much about the power of nature and the weaknesses of humanity. Let's take a look at some of them. The Black Death, an everlasting fear in the Middle Ages. Have you ever heard of the plague that caused a third of the entire population of Europe to die in less than 2 years? Yes, it was the Black Death. In the city of Florence, church bells once stopped ringing because there was no one left to ring them. At that time, people realized that a plague could change the world faster than war. Mount Krakatoa, an explosion that shook the world. August 27th, 1883, became a day that the world would never forget. In the Sunda Strait, Mount Krakatoa erupted with explosions heard as far away as Australia, even reaching Rodriguez Island. A tsunami 40 meters high destroyed surrounding settlements and killed more than 36,000 people. From this event, we learn how the power of nature can cause massive destruction. World War II, a deadly global conflict. In 1939, when Germany invaded Poland, the world entered a war that would last until 1945 and claim the lives of over 70 million people. Atomic bombs destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, demonstrating that humanity now possessed the power to end the world. World War II taught us about preparedness, policy, and the importance of maintaining peace. The smallpox epidemic, the silent killer. Smallpox, once considered a common disease, turned out to be extremely deadly. In the vast lands of America, there once lived many Native American tribes like the Aztec and Inca. These tribes built beautiful cities and had rich cultures. But everything changed when European explorers arrived on their shores. A small but deadly enemy followed these explorers, a virus called smallpox. When this virus reached America, it spread rapidly among the tribes. Many people fell sick, and it was frightening because it was a sickness they had never seen before. The effects were devastating, and cities that once thrived became empty as people tried to escape the disease. Smallpox didn't use swords or weapons, but it was as deadly as an army. Nearly 90% of some tribes were wiped out. Among the victims were the mighty Aztec and Inca civilizations. Imagine cities suddenly quiet, homes and markets empty. It was a difficult time. In another part of history, many years later, people understood how dangerous smallpox was. They worked together across countries to find a way to stop the virus. Scientists and doctors formed teams and devised plans. Eventually, after many years of hard work, they wiped out smallpox completely around 1980. It was a huge victory for people everywhere. But history has other tales of nature's wrath. On December 26, 2004, the Earth showed its might with a disaster called the Indian Ocean tsunami. That morning, people in Aceh, Indonesia, noticed something strange. The ocean pulled back far beyond the shore. Curious and unaware of the danger, many ventured onto the newly revealed beach. Unbeknownst to them, a powerful earthquake of magnitude 9.1 had occurred deep under the ocean. 5 minutes later, the ocean returned with a giant wave. The tsunami's force was like a towering wall, higher than buildings, crashing onto the land. In just a few hours, this disaster spread across 14 countries. It affected many people, leaving 230,000 missing. The world was shaken by the tragedy as everyone realized how powerful and unpredictable Earth's natural forces could be. The Little Ice Age, when the world froze for 500 years. Between the 14th and 19th centuries, Earth went through a dramatic chill known as the Little Ice Age. Imagine the River Thames, which runs through London, turning into a giant frozen slushy you could walk on. People in cities across Europe struggled as crops failed year after year, leading to widespread hunger. Even the mighty Maya civilization couldn't escape the icy grip that shook their lands. But what caused this chilly spell? Well, it wasn't just one disaster, but many. Scientists think it was a mix of less activity from the sun, big volcanoes blowing their tops and sending tons of ash into the sky, and ocean currents acting a bit wonky. This cold time in history reminds us just how powerful nature can be in shaping human lives, changing the way societies grow and survive. The Lisbon earthquake, 1755. The city lost in 6 minutes. Once upon a time, Lisbon, the bright jewel of the mighty Portuguese Empire, was bustling and rich. On a sunny morning, churches were filled with people celebrating All Saints' Day. Then, without warning, the ground began to shake. In just 6 minutes, a massive earthquake shattered the city's beauty. Buildings crumbled, huge waves from the ocean washed over the land, causing a tsunami, and fires blazed wildly. About 85% of the lovely city was gone, and sadly, thousands of lives were lost. This disaster shocked all of Europe. People, including deep-thinking philosophers, couldn't understand how such a catastrophe could happen on a day meant for holiness. Why would God allow such tragedy during a sacred moment? The devastation in Lisbon forced people to rethink their beliefs about religion, philosophy, and even science. It showed them how unpredictable and fierce nature could be, teaching many important lessons about understanding the world we live in. Once upon a time, in a faraway place called Siberia, an extraordinary event lit up the sky. This was not your everyday occurrence. It was June 30th, 1908, a day that started like any other, but soon it would become famous in history. On this day, People were startled to see a gigantic fireball moving across the sky. Imagine a bright, shining object streaking through the heavens above. Suddenly, with a colossal explosion, it burst in the sky about 8 kilometers above the ground. But there was an unusual twist. There was no crater left behind. This explosion was so powerful that it flattened trees across a vast area of about 2,000 square kilometers. Can you picture nothing but tree stumps standing in an area larger than many cities? People as far away as England heard this gigantic boom. It was so loud and bright that it could have been mistaken for fireworks by someone very, very far away. Here's an intriguing thought. If this fireball had arrived only 4 hours later, it would have exploded over the bustling city of St. Petersburg. Can you imagine what might have happened then? It could have changed the course of history forever. Now, the Tunguska event is still a mystery. Scientists have tried to solve the mystery, suggesting it might have been a meteor or a comet, but the exact cause remains unsolved. Epilogue: the world survived over and over. This event reminds us that history is full of surprises. Sometimes it's about great destruction, but more often it's about resilience. Every time a disaster strikes, humans find ways to survive, thrive, and learn. When dinosaurs disappeared, it paved the way for humans to appear. When massive volcanoes erupted, human genes adapted. Deadly diseases helped us advance in medicine. After world wars, technology progressed faster. Tsunamis inspired early warning systems. The world, as we know it, has nearly ended many times. But life always finds a way. And as we continue recording history, we're reminded that Earth, while seemingly peaceful, holds the power to shake the future. And so, the story of the Tunguska event is a small chapter in the grand book of Earth's history, a tale of mystery, and an example of the indomitable spirit of life.